Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I ate Coop again today. We're still without Coop, and actually today we're without McFarlane, which is kind of sad. So once again, you're stuck with the nerd in the closet. And we're also joined by Brian today.
Hey, everybody.
Who doesn't come on nowhere near as frequently as he should.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I love being on the podcast.
I mean, between you and Coop, this is kind of like, well, this is Coop's baby. You're just here's the pictures of my cute baby and all that fun stuff. So,
Yeah, I guess. I help him make the show as good as it can be. I just ride on his coattails, really.
And you also get very picky about the lights.
That's true. I care very much about how it looks, yeah.
So today, because we don't have the little man and the big man.
I was thinking we should have started by like, hey, I'm, Coop, and this is our local talent, and just do the whole show like we're them and not change. Just pretend as if the whole time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone will notice. In fact, Coop noticed you're sitting in the wrong chair.
That's true. Here's the thing. So, wow, yeah, he is. Coop hopping in there just out of the blue. You're welcome, by the way.
I thought he wasn't joining us.
Yeah, I thought you weren't here. I thought this would be maybe better than just one shot the whole time, just two people. You have a chance to kind of, break it up back and forth between two different cameras rather than one static shot the whole time. It was a decision. It was a choice, and I'm standing by it.
So basically what he's doing is giving more work for me to change between the two cameras.
Yeah,
so,
I try to make it as difficult as possible for you.
Yeah, that's what everyone seems to do, apparently.
That's true.
I don't know if you saw, I have a new sign on my door.
I did. What did it say again?
So, I require concentration. I'll be in the chamber of understanding.
Yeah, from Futurama, right?
Yeah, Futurama. I really need to rewatch that show now.
I think you should have a stack of them you just shuffle through every once in a while.
Every now and then. I'll always come up with something, and I collect memes like other people collect stamps. So
yeah. And shout out to you, Mike. I literally ran by. I was like, hey, can you just... You popped on in, so thank you for the help.
Yeah. What he means by that is that he disrupted my understanding. Just come in and open the door,
Yes.
and all my understanding just goes out my
It
office.
flowed out of the room.
As if Mike isn't working hard enough. We all know that I don't work anywhere near as hard. I mean, what is working? What is that like?
I think you do a good job.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I do.
Nope, not a problem, Coop. It's what we're here for, and I guess it's useful having more than one person that can do this.
I think so. We've got a lot of good people around here that can talk about interesting things, which I think would be interesting today if we talked about some video analytics. So I went to Boston a couple weeks ago for a conference on the CRM and the sort of the marketing and sales stuff platform that we use. The whole conference for like 3 days, almost all the workshops, nobody stopped talking about AI. Artificial intelligence, and we've used AI for a long time for our video analytics for catching bad guys, and if we can see if there's a gun and stuff like that. But a lot of people are kind of mystified or think it's magic, and I thought we could talk a little bit about what really is AI and how does it work with security cameras.
Yeah, so it depends on the actual application, because there's a variety of different analytics that are AI based and others that are not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this has come from someone who studied AI specifically for like 2 years, working on my game design degree. So, it's kind of funny having all that knowledge start coming back. But a lot of it is you have two different forms. You have the height based analytic, and then you have object-based analytic. I would have a whole slideshow, a whole presentation, a whole video, and all that fun stuff.
Thank God we don't have a slideshow. Everybody's like, thank goodness for that.
But the main form is height-based analysis, something that Axis even used for a long time. They still use, it's a manual form of calibration, but generally with the newer model cameras, you don't need to use it anymore. But basically, if you have a camera view, everything is depth. There's perspective. So you have your, if it was moving, you would have your parallax and whatnot. But the idea that something very big gets smaller the farther away it gets from the camera. So how you calibrate these cameras is by having someone, a specific person, and by a set height, stand close to the camera, and then you measure them in that camera view and have them go to the far view of the camera near the horizon. And I just kind of cut off your camera there doing that.
That's all right. No one needs to see me.
Well, yeah, it's because it's kind of on me right now.
Yeah.
But you have this person stand on the far side near the horizon and measure them again. And that tells the camera, okay, between here and there, a human is roughly this tall. So anything that's kind of rectangular and about this tall should be a human within reason. That can filter out a lot of things because, you know, a cat right by the camera is going to be very small.
So small.
Exactly. So it's also known as minimum object size.
So do we, with our, so we have AI built into our monitoring that we do here at Titan for our clients. We're not doing that as much. It's a lot more advanced and sophisticated than manual calibration.
Yeah, there's still some forms that are really advanced that actually still require it. Perimeter Defender is a big one. It's server-based. You need a server machine to actually run it. It's not designed to run on just a camera because that's also the difference. You have your cloud-based, your server-based, and your edge-based. Edge-based just means runs on camera. Cloud and server just means there's a computer involved. And yes, it does sound like Cyberdyne. I haven't even gone to the actual Oglesby. I haven't actually gotten into the object analysis analytics yet. But Perimeter Defender still uses height, so to speak. But what you do is that you turn it on and let it run for 5 to 10 minutes and have someone walk around the site and in all the areas you're concerned about, so it recognizes what a human should look like.
Walking and moving and...
Yeah, and at what speed and things like that. It's looking for a lot of different things. It's pretty cool to look at once it collects data. But that goes into the actual AI form because what you're doing is shoving a bunch of data at it and expecting it to spit out a result.
Right.
And you can really dumb down AI as a pile of data and you just stir the pot until you get the answer you want.
Straight to the food analogy.
I mean, it's actually the best form because that's what you do. You throw all of your data at it and then put in like some manual examples and then it will until it gives you the answer you want.
Right.
It's the reason why AI...
You have to train it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like AI art. That's a little controversial right now, but that works by sending a bunch of art to it and characterizing it.
This is this kind, this is that kind.
Yeah, this is like, so for example, if I send this image of you to an AI, I will manually tag it as Caucasian male with a light beard, green shirt, waving his hands.
What do you mean light
headset.
beard? What is that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean,
oh,
compared
right.
to,
Okay. All right. That's fair.
This greatness here.
That's fair.
So I would send this over and manually tag it and then send in a bunch more just like that until eventually when I send an image of me, it will look for Caucasian male, very heavy set, black and blue shirt with a heavy beard.
Yeah.
And it can identify those.
Do that. I've done some Midjourney images of you with ramen working. I remember making those. So it's interesting because it's sort of like there's two people we kind of talk to where we like to say with the security and monitoring, you know, it's either you see something that happens when you get to your office the next day and it's just recording, sort of passive surveillance. And so we utilize active surveillance here because anybody can slap up security cameras. There's hundreds of different home-based, commercial-based systems. You can plug them into a DVR. But at the end of the day, if you're not using, or let's say you have 30 businesses, or you're a construction guy and you got 30 construction sites, were you going to have somebody sit there and stare at 10 cameras per site?
It'll probably cost you like $50 an hour.
Yeah, or 300. Who can possibly, or how many people would it take to monitor 300 cameras all the time? And so we monitor hundreds and hundreds of cameras, but we're using proactive responses by utilizing AI to do this. So it's doing the dumb staring forever because it doesn't care. It's a computer, and we respond to that proactively. So it enhances the work that's done by the security system.
Yeah, because a big part of that, and to your point of a computer that watches it, and yes, you're so fluffy. In more ways than one, Coop. But yes, actually, I'll come back to that later. But yes, AI can actually read, but we'll come back to that. But in that form of the proactive monitoring, when we can put in something with AI, we can have it actuate is the big one, where it requires a burn-in, where it stares at the screen and every alert that comes in, and it looks for what a human looks like, what a vehicle looks like, and slowly calibrates itself until armed hours, if it sees anything that looks like a human and where there should not be a human, it sends that alert. And that's a big part of using AI-based video analysis, because it can do all that work. It can do that decision making. Axis even can flag certain traits about what it sees.
Like what?
So they came out with Smart Search 2. It's relatively new. It came out beginning of this year, if I remember right, in full force, where if you have an Axis NVR, if you don't know, that's a network video recorder. It's a server that just handles all the recording and everything. Big difference between NVR and DVR.
DVR is on disk, right?
Yeah, so it's designed to be closed circuit.
Right,
so
okay.
nothing out to the internet, and it uses coax.
Like a dumb box.
Basically.
Okay.
Like literally the DVR you had during cable.
Remember TiVo?
I remember TiVo. But when the cameras are connected to the NVR and they send their recording over, they attach a lot of metadata. They attach, this is a human wearing this shirt and this pants going in this direction, you know, all kinds of flags to it. And when you're searching through your recordings and like, okay, I know there was someone who came into my business today. We need a description of him for police because we're pretty sure he, you know, robbed the place or something like that.
Right.
But we don't know much more than that. We don't want. He came in at some point during the day.
I heard a call earlier. There was a guy getting a pedicure, and he left without paying for the pedicure, and we got a call about. There was a man, and he was getting a pedicure. He's wearing a black jacket or something, and it was like, and he left without paying for his pedicure. I'm like, hey man, you got to go when your feet look good. You got to get to what you're getting to if you're getting out for the pedicure.
I'm pretty sure the phrase is tiptoeing in your new Jordans.
You're tiptoeing the new Jordans there.
But because of that, you can basically say, hey, or tell the NVR, hey, at some point, someone in a red shirt entered the building through this camera. Give me all footage you have of a person in a red shirt entering the camera. I don't want anyone leaving, just entering. And it will give you all that.
So it sounds great. It sounds like magic. So that's the thing. Like all this AI stuff. There's this. I think there's a challenge or I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, what's up?
We lost your camera.
Oh, I might have to switch over there eventually.
You might.
So while you're doing that, I'll figure out the word I'm looking for. Maybe it ran out of battery like the other one.
Oh, let's take a look. Gonna make big guy get
No, I got it. So what I want to talk about real quick, since in the midst of the darkness, is there is a desire to just like say AI can blah, like anything you say is magic and AI will do it, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the limitations? Because it can't do everything. It can't be like, what kind of a mood were they in, or what are some of the limitations that's not the demystifying like the magic of AI?
Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the fact that AI only works with the input it's given and the logic it's given. And Brian's going to come around and try and change this battery.
This is going to be behind the scenes awesome. Go ahead.
Same thing happened to that other camera, but there should be a charging issue. And Josh, we are not going to have a cybersecurity breach so long as I am with this company. That is a challenge, so have fun. But it's not magic. It's just logic, and it only operates with what you give it. For example, with games, the big limitation is weak AI. Well, it only does as well as it's been programmed or been calibrated or told to. You can go very in-depth with a lot of AI. And look at that, he's back.
As if nothing happened.
My personal favorite, oops, I got a little trigger happy there. My personal favorite is Skyrim and now Starfield, because we found this exploit still there. If you want to steal something, well, put a bucket on the NPC's head. It makes perfect sense because the AI is looking for visuals. It's using the actual eyeballs of the 3D model for the field of they put the cameras in rather than like, and it accounts for, wow. Yeah. And
I mean, who would think of that? It's like the thing. It's like those YouTube videos. They never thought the game devs never thought you'd do this thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they surprise you, and they sure did, or whatever. But
a lot of it comes around. It was how they were going to design sneaking in the game, which we all know how sneaking ended up with Skyrim. You better mod that. Sneaking is so broken in Skyrim.
oh, is it? You get to like level. Oh, I've seen they go to like level 99, and you walk up to somebody, and you can full on just.
Not even at level 99. You could be at like level, heck, you could just be at like sneak level 20 or 25 and shoot someone and plan it accordingly, and the NPC will just go, must have just been the wind.
Oh,
with an arrow in their head.
That must have been the wind thing.
Yeah. And they did a lot to train the AI to account for that, but the limitations are the fact that it can be easily gained because no one thinks you're just going to put a bucket on an NPC's head, so the NPC doesn't check if its vision has been cold, as we call it.
Yeah, or just they have a bucket on their head. And
exactly.
So what I'm hearing you say is you have to go into it with the right. You have to ask the right questions, and you have to understand what you need. And there are limitations that can be in place. Like you can't see somebody way in the corner of the distance and really discern what may be going on, or if they're, because I know there are particular AI data sets that are like, there is a knife, people are fighting, for example, or there's a gun is a very popular one we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And that works in particular situations, but if they're like, shielded behind a bush or, things like that, it's not all-inclusive magic or whatever. There are limitations, but it's a powerful combination, right? So,
exactly.
So because I know there's other agencies or companies out there where they may offer monitoring, but it's sort of like we're going to stare at a certain amount of screens, for example, or there's no proactive alerting like we have. And what about integration? Are we able to integrate with? Because like I mentioned, there's a ton of, like, let's say you got that client out there with the NVR, but they have no analytics attached to them. What are our capabilities like, or what are capabilities like as far as AI goes to plugging into existing systems?
So that comes down mainly with the provider that you're going to be working with. And the main one, Actuate, I've been big fans of them. I'm not going to dance around the bush and try to hide their name. No, they've been incredible. They've been a really good partner. And I just got out of a call with them this morning and basically said, you guys are doing fantastic. I want to see more. But they're one of the main ones, because I was talking about this with Chuck, is that our limitation has always been we cannot do motion. Anything that does motion and nothing else cannot be monitored because it will go off for literally anything.
Right.
But now we're coming in with NVRs and cameras that are older or don't have good analytics. And with a partner like Actuate, they can pull a stream directly from the camera and just have their AI watch the stream.
Shout out to Sunny Ty, by the way, at Actuate. He's a CEO over there, guy.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
He's like an Energizer bunny. That guy's amazing.
But oh yeah, he has so much energy.
Yeah,
how does he do that?
He goes hard and fast, man.
And he travels all around the world.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
moving for sure.
But because I can pull that raw data stream from the cameras and have Actuate do the work, I can say, oh, those cameras are like 5-8 years old or whatnot. That's fine. Open an RTSP port. Let Actuate do the work, and it will handle everything else. We just onboarded a large customer where they had a mix match of a bunch of different cameras, many of them between 8 and 12 years old. No functional AI on many of them. Some only works in Internet Explorer. And I could pull them into Actuate.
You could pull the feed in.
Yeah, and it just works.
All the different resolutions and all the different... because if they're that old, you're pulling in all kinds of different resolutions.
It depends. You really only want to pull one static resolution for AI. The more consistent you make your data stream, the better it learns.
Yeah.
And ironically, the lower your resolution, depending on what the AI is looking for, the better it can be. Main reason is because Actuate in particular looks for pixels. It looks for any variance in the pixels in the streams and tries to identify what caused it.
So more pixels, more to analyze.
Exactly. Way more to put in there. So if you send it something like a 450 stream, a person walking in, to us, we can identify a person, but Actuate can see a lot more detail technically with that lower resolution without using as much bandwidth.
Right. And we had a few more people join the stream as we were talking. We're talking about security cameras and specifically I want to say the rise, but it's more like just it's less of a rise. It's like it's just as if it was never not there. Like the appearance of artificial intelligence being like for real a thing in our lives. And so the we're talking about the integration possibilities. And I mean, how would you describe the importance or the significance of, or where do you even think AI is going with what we're going to be able to do with our security and monitoring of our video surveillance?
So I personally think I still have the standpoint as a network security professional and a game development professional,
Right.
which is pretty much, it's a tool. It's a tool for data analysis at the end of the day. And that's where I was coming from. You know, ChatGPT was getting into trouble with, students are using it to cheat and whatnot. And that's where more of that demystification you were talking about comes from, because it's not a cheating tool per se. You can use it that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Flipper.
It's I've been getting ads for Flipper like crazy for some reason on Facebook. I'm like, I haven't talked about it. I looked it up once, but yeah.
It's an interesting tool, and it's just the sad fact that it's used for nefarious purposes, because it can be used that way.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also a really good diagnostic tool. If you're trying to work on, like, my air conditioner at home has a remote control, and it uses IR to communicate, but it's less of a state change. It actually, well, you know how if you power on your remote, the remote just sends signal on and then off and then sends like numbers, very short metadata.
Right.
The remote that my air conditioning uses sends a full state. So when I set it to cool and then change the temperature before it sends the command, it sends all of it in a single packet.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it was actually cool getting like an IR receiver and pulling up a Flipper and actually re-decoding.
Oh, you
stream.
did that?
Yeah. Because I was like,
that's interesting.
How is it doing that? Because it only sends the one command once, and it makes no sense to encode it, but it's actually encoding it in a very smart way. I don't want to get too detailed about that, but
yeah. So with the AI side of things, it's like, because there's still the human component.
exactly.
I mean, here's the thing, because like if you have a system and it's connected up to the most incredible data set and analytic there is, if it detects a riot going on in front of a building and there's nobody there to do anything about it, then it's worthless. At the same time, you can't, if a music festival kicks off, you don't want that thing calling the police.
Yeah.
Right? So you still need that human component to understand, contextualize, this person, they're not dead, they're just like, they're sleeping outside. A human can kind of tell that a bit, more than something like, let's say, an AI detection. We're not still at the place yet where there's call response, because how would that work? It's like, hi, I'm calling from like a conversation. Because I know that, like, for example, I mean, we're talking about the future. Like, that's possible. Well, like, I can use Google Assistant and I can get reservations for a restaurant if it's compatible. Like, hey, there's this restaurant, I can get you. And I know I've heard recordings. Hey, I've got a reservation for 2. Oh, we can't do any at 6 o'clock. How about 7? 7 o'clock at work. And it will respond as if it's a real person. And it will reserve a restaurant for me. Now, that's a pretty simple interchange. There's a couple of branches for that. But so we're not quite at the point, but do you think we could see ourselves getting there eventually in time?
I think after a while, I need to turn my game down.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd like to answer Joe's question when you're done.
Use generate reports. Yeah, that would be.
I would love to
talk. That's a good one to answer.
I was on the phone with my mom this weekend showing her ChatGPT, by the way.
Of course you were.
I did a Zoom call with her. I said, have you heard of this? She's like, no. And she does investing with people and some other things.
Oh, no.
And I showed her some things. I was like, what is a 5% return on a $250,000 investment over 30 years? And show me a table. And it generated, she's like, oh my God. And I was like, what would a question and answer be from a client? And I went through this whole thing with her, and she was like, what is this? And yeah, Joe, I'm going to answer your question. Go ahead, Mike.
But what I expect it to go to is just purely in that data analysis standpoint. Like, to your point, it's a great tool, and it's great even for me as a programmer. It's great when I'm stuck. I don't know where I'm going from here. Give me at least the steps. And one thing I've even noticed with ChatGPT, and it helped with some of my homework, was this is a math problem.
Right.
I know how to solve this, but I don't know where to start.
Right.
So I just ask it, like, what's my step to begin solving this? Do not give me the answer.
Right.
Just tell me where to go, and it will do that.
Yeah, it's that It's like I always tell people it's like brainstorming with the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
And now you have to give a good input. And I want to answer Joe's thing real quick.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I'm not on the guard. Maybe Michael, you can fill in, but like, I'm a big advocate of using AI. I use ChatGPT literally. I did it on a phone call this morning about how much do we need to sell to recoup our investment or whatever. And I did it because, I could have pulled up a spreadsheet and stuff, but it was on the fly. I was running some numbers, and it's so easy to say, like, here's the base, and say, what if that was 40%? What if this was, and it just redoes it really quickly.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, Joe, to answer your question, if you have something that's in a structured format, that's like, you can tell it, that might be kind of interesting actually. Anyway, but I have a report to give, and you can copy this. Like, I need to include these things. Boom, 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 boom. Then you can write natural language. Here's what happened. And you just type regularly. Say, now fill out the report for me. ChatGPT can then take the natural language, because it's a natural language model, and fill in the areas you told it to. Because that's how it works. You have to be specific. You have to give it structure. Tell it what you need and what you want. So yes, you probably could. I would say experiment with it, but I mean, I can't think of any reason. There's no ethical reason. As long as it's accurate, check your work. But it can help, like the date. You can put it at this time. This happened, and and it will fill in the blanks for you, and then you can go augment it. It's a why not? It's a great tool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're building a house, would you hand saw every piece of lumber, or if you had an electric saw, would you use the electric saw if you had it available?
Oh, heck, I'd use the electric saw. Are you kidding me? I mean, that would be one way to work these down. But, yeah, to that point, I think it's actually useful for a lot of reasons. Even with just a report. Say you had something that happened that you don't really know how to explain professionally. Because
right.
These reports go to the customers. They go to the lieutenants and the captains.
You have to reformat it, obviously.
Exactly. So a lot of it is kind of like, how do I explain this professionally?
Yeah.
When this whole situation went completely out
That's
of
the
control.
idea of the prompt. Write it in
Yeah.
the style of a professional security, or you can even say police officer.
Yeah.
And it will do that. It will use the tone and tenor, and I encourage. There's an iPhone app. It's free to sign up for an account. I didn't mean to derail this. Whenever somebody talks about ChatGPT, I kind of go a little crazy. But
Yeah, you do.
so the point is that there are incredible capabilities. But again, I want to stress there are also limitations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So in specifically in regards to the video analytics side of things, it's really a key important thing to understand.
Yeah.
The capabilities, and where there are not capabilities to get the security you're looking for.
Exactly. And to that point, again, it's a tool like ChatGPT. It's just a tool that's available to you to help. It's not going to be take it in, take your output, and immediately send it off. It still has to be validated. So our model still has, once the AI says, hey, there's a human on site, it still goes to a human operator.
Right.
Because they make that final decision. They can make that phone call without sending automated messages over to the police department, because they get enough of those as it is, and many of them are false.
Right.
So we still have that human component that looks at what the camera says and says, okay, that is a human. He is wearing a construction, like a high-vis vest and a hard hat, but no one's supposed to be here. Or
I know this client, and sometimes they forget to call us when somebody's showing up.
Oh, yeah.
The past month they've forgotten a couple of times, and they're busy. One of the great things about the work that we do is that if we're doing it well, they kind of forget about you.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't show up, or somebody's showing up, you forget to call your security guys because they take care of everything well. So it's that back. That's not occupying the front of your mind. Oh, I have to remember to call the security. You kind of are forced to when we call you. It's like, hey, I see somebody. Should we call the police? Like, oh no, there's somebody there for 2 hours. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's a good thing. But let me take a step back. I will say something that may be controversial or maybe not sound great. And I'm saying this as a marketing guy, which of all the industries to be worried about something like AI, they talk about AI taking jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
Big thing, writing emails, writing marketing campaigns. I've utilized ChatGPT to create entire campaigns, to help me out. So yeah, reports. So I'm telling you, down the road, I could see with a well-trained enough model where it could plug into your customer database, it could plug into your calls the outcomes of the calls. Like if you structure the data properly, here is a call, here is the outcome. This is what the customer wanted, this is what we did, and it was trained on those responses. It could know this customer sometimes forgets to call, and so I need to call the customer, or this customer never calls. It's 3:00 in the morning. I should probably call the police. That could happen.
Yeah.
Training is very powerful right now.
Oh, yeah. And I was actually on a call with our phone provider because they have a whole new suite of analytics that they're deploying. And one of them that actually caught my eye was not only determining the structure of the call and trying to figure out, like, who was what was it vaguely about, how long were they on hold, and who put them on hold, where they transfer, all that, which is usually just metadata. They actually have analytics that determine mood of the call.
Oh, really?
So how it went, what the overall general attitude was.
Based on what they were talking about. And
exactly.
Interesting.
And what the rough disposition would be by the end of it. So it's a good tool. It's still like they say it's in beta. I say it's in alpha.
Yeah, a lot.
Just throw more data onto the pile and stir it some more. But that's one of the things that they're coming out with to help, especially marketing and sales, to determine, this customer called, but they had a generally negative disposition.
Right.
Something was wrong.
We need to follow it. Right.
Yeah. Do we need to step in and make it right?
Maybe next steps like create a ticket automatically to the support team. And I was watching a podcast over the weekend about there's this guy talking about using make.com. It's like this platform you can connect. It's like Zapier, but for web hosted applications.
That's interesting.
It's very cool. So what he did is he called them AI assistants. So the short version, what I'm looking at doing is integrating it with a website chat. So when somebody comes in, it can ask a question and then train the model on our products and services, and it can respond in real time and move people in the right direction, responding to website chat. So there's opportunities to do things like that. So yeah, as far as getting back to it, like the idea of artificial intelligence or AI with security systems, we kind of do it in a way with, which is more just direct analytics, but we don't really do this work, but like access controls, iris scanners and fingerprint scanners are in the most simplistic of ways an analytic.
Yeah.
Does this match this, right? So we've been using AI to a degree forever. We just are now more doing it on a more broadly intelligent or aware level.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's I think there's a lot of opportunities, and like you said, Mike, we're using at Titan, we use what's new, and not only that, but what gives us the speed, quality, and service for what we provide to customers. So our CEO Ryan is our president. I'm going to call him CEO. No, I'm going to call him president.
Same difference.
Same. Who cares? He doesn't watch. No,
He's
I'm kidding.
Big guy.
It's funny how he pops in here every once in a while, like, "Hey guys," like, "Hey, he's there." I love that. But so he is so on the cutting edge. Like when we went to this trade show, he brought along a drone with him. This big, a 26 diameter blade, like huge drone. And he's very interested right now in getting ahead of that. And we already offer things like blended services. So like we do the thing where we get an alert here with our monitoring side. And if it comes through, we can pair that with our patrol. Like we offer as a blended service. So we're way ahead of the game as far as because a lot of these guys, like we do this, we do that, we do this, but it's very siloed.
Yeah.
So combining these things with the analytic alert goes to our monitoring team, sends it off to the patrol team, and we can respond very quickly. So there's still tremendous opportunity. I mean, imagine if you could have an analytic that would alert patrol proactively to be ready in case they called, and you know what I mean, to have on certain things, like if there's 3 people, or if it detects a gun, for example, to sort of give them proactive, hey, be alert, you might get a call. I mean, there's interesting opportunities there for sure.
Oh, yeah. Because especially a big part of what I've talked about is around our own campus. We have 3 bloody towers with a 4th one on the way.
Yeah.
So something like a drone, something that I would say, because if one of the security officers sees something on the PTZ, they need more details, or if they're out, have the drones do the patrol. It sees something out of the ordinary. It goes to investigate while notifying the night patrol team who don't have access to the cameras.
It's got IR on it.
Yeah.
Heat sensor. I mean, these cameras are crazy on these security drones.
Oh, yeah. They're insane. So That kind of blended services of having both that human element and the Terminator kind of mixed
That's
in
what everybody
there.
worries about. That's sort of the underline, right? It's like, okay, so now we've got proactive, security drones out there, or you see the Boston Dynamics, the stuff that they do is incredible. It terrifies. I think Elon Musk with the his robotics team. I can't remember what the name of the Elon Musk robotics team is right now, but his that particular vertical he's doing. But they just showed a thing where they had their robot where it's sorting blocks, and it can self what did they say? It can self calibrate its limbs, so it does its calibration, and they're sorting things, and then it does yoga poses. I mean, like 1 foot up, and the other one's. I'm like, I can't do that. Like I'll end up at the chiropractor for a month if I do something like that. But things are advancing extremely quickly.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of it, to your point, going back earlier, it's not really the rise of AI, but more the approachability is the word I'd use.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because before, with these kind of models, they're just data analysis. You throw data at them, a lot of data, and that's a lot of computation. That's a lot of computations to do. Now we're hitting to the point where there's actual quantum computers being a part of this, helping crunch a lot of those numbers. We have server farms. We have Bitcoin mining, especially, helped a lot of that because.
Yeah, NVIDIA's like, thanks so much.
Yeah, where's my bloody VRAM?
They did that. They're not hurting too badly because of that whole thing.
Yeah, and to Oglesby's point, a lot of it is trends, identifying what's going on, what changes. And when you have so many clocks, basically, like CPU clocks to process all those, just get it in, quickly calculate, move on. And then you're constantly doing that in a server farm, which is now financially viable for a lot of companies and even for residential use.
Right, that's interesting. And the sophistication of what we've learned about how to train AI models.
Yeah.
There's so many papers and so much information being released. We really hit a turning point.
Yeah.
I mean, when GPT was released, they had more users sign up than any other SaaS ever.
Yeah.
Like when Facebook, when they launched Instagram, you could just connect up with that was actually before your Facebook account, but the Instagram onboarded more people faster than Facebook did. Actually, I think Facebook, but there was a graph. It was like time, right? And it was like Facebook to 1 million users over here. Instagram, OpenAI was like here.
Yeah.
It was like a month. So that inflection points, I like how you said accessibility, because it's become the thing where when I show people, or when I use GPT, you sit down and you talk to it, and it's a conversational, like you can build prompt on prompt. So it's like, hey, I'd like to learn more about the Roman Empire or whatever. It's like, oh, tell me more about Claudius, and or whatever, and then it understands. It's like, did he die? And it knows what that means. So it's similar with the security system, or the security world with artificial intelligence. Imagine if 15 years ago, or even 10 years ago, you were asked to sit down and integrate AI notifications and data collection and alerts into a security system from scratch. But now we can sit down and we can, like you said, plug in an entire data set that's specifically designed around security alerts for video monitoring, and it will integrate. And it's got a great interface. You can identify the things you want to identify. You can set up your scheduling. So, like Joe said, and these questions from Joe are really great. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, definitely.
Are a lot more accessibility. What do they say that? Good software is almost indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
Is that old phrase, or what was it?
Well, I use a different term of it where divinity is indistinguishable from advanced technology, because I like playing on that with I'm a creative guy. I write, and a lot of what I write and do is that, especially that idea. It's actually a big reason why I'm a big Starset fan. They do. I don't know if I told you, one of their phrases, and it kind of follows along with that, is ignorance is to slavery as knowledge is to freedom. So it's that ability to not only know it but apply it, and that's a big part of with the rise with AI now is you can get it in your home. You can work with it comfortably. Because so I'm going to switch over to, I don't want to give them any attention right now, but I'm going to show this because it's actually useful as kind of a tool. And
this is cool. What's this?
So this is just a quick screenshot that someone took from making games in Unity, and I'm a Unity developer and rip Unity right now.
Yeah.
So a big part of it, this just looks like a jumbled mess, but this is what our what us programmers have to deal with on a regular basis. So I can tell just from looking at this that this car, where all the lines are coming out, this is the AI, and it's trying to calculate where each of the barriers are, what each car is here, any clear spaces, and it's trying to analyze all of this in one go. And this looks like a nightmare to really anyone else, but to a developer like myself, we kind of know how to read that. But that's a big part of it, is being able to apply that reasonably and comfortably, because not
well, Unity's doing that with their procedural generation of I saw some videos with Unity about using procedural generations for landscape and like creating environments.
Gaia is the best tool for that on the market in terms of Unity, because you can just throw it any parameters you want. You can even send it topographical maps of real places,
right? And
it will just stamp those on the terrain and then build around it. You can have it build even villages, and paths. So it's really cool stuff. Gaia is a big plug-in with Unity that I support. I endorse wholeheartedly because it's really good, even if you don't use all of its tools, because it's designed to just be like random generate and go.
Right.
You can still use it to build a base terrain and then go from there. I've used it all in all of my going from that, what we call gray boxing, where it's literally just a bunch of gray boxes of what's important, and moving into your landscapes. I use that as a base, and then I adjust the terrain, because that's a big thing with Gaia.
Right.
You can adjust it after it's been generated.
So and we'll wrap up on this, but I think the key thing here is, with getting back to security, and it relates, is, the thing with AI, I tell people this, here's the thing. You have to combine it with expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, it's a tool. So if I go pick up that power, my stepdad, he builds homes for a living.
Yeah.
My hands and his hands do not look the same.
Yeah.
Right? And he's been doing it for decades. He's really good at it. Like, he's masterful with his stairs. He does these curved stairs, and it's crazy the stuff that he does. So I do, marketing stuff, completely different, but they both require a different skill set, expertise level. If you put that skill saw in my hand, I'm going to maybe lose some fingers. Or I may not, if you ask both of us to build a staircase and you give us the same tools, the input is going to affect the output. My stairs are not going to look the same as his.
And going to take twice as long.
Right. And they're going to be half as, an eighth as good. Yeah. Right. So same with security, like anybody can slap a camera up and plug in a thing, but it takes that expertise and that knowledge of, why would you put that there? What are you trying to cover? What are the limitations? So it's important when you're considering, you have to look, there's no turning back. We have to look at AI as a tool that we can use. And I heard the guy at HubSpot, the co-founder at HubSpot, Dharmesh, he was talking about, he said, AI isn't going to replace jobs. People who use AI are going to replace jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So we're using it here at Titan. You have to be proactive about it. We're using it intelligently. We're using it with our decade, almost 2 decades of expertise. So you have to be able to plug it in where it makes sense. Like, to answer Joe's question, could I write a report with this? Like, yes, if you know how to write reports, if it makes sense. So we have to use this ethically. We have to use it, responsibly, but also, like, we have to apply our own intelligence to it.
Yeah, and I think just to follow up on that, it's less of AI is replacing jobs; it's enhancing them.
Right.
So, in my job, I do a lot of audits. I do a lot of checking and double checking, a lot of math. Especially when it comes to ordering parts, any amount of time that can be spent automating that.
Yeah.
I can apply to more advanced stuff, like managing our Intune environment and our security.
Right.
So it's less of replacing them. It's you get that tool now. You just now need to apply it. And now that you're applying it, tying up loose ends and making your job easier.
Yeah.
What can you do with that extra time? Being able to expand on that.
Yeah. I remember we were doing a thing, you and I, early when I first started working here, and I was lauding the praises of GPT to you.
Oh yeah, for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, and you were struggling with an API endpoint thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you considered plugging this in? And you came back, you're like, this was nuts. So and the same thing, like if I'm stuck, I'm not going to pretend like, I'm not the end all be all of marketing, right? But there are times, I call it blank sheet syndrome. You got to put together a marketing campaign or something, and you open up Word doc and it's a blank sheet. Or you have to compose 10 drip emails or something to talk to people over a period of 6 months, and it's a blank sheet. You're like, so it's like, hey, give me 10 things that are long, and you fill it with a bunch of stuff. Say, give me 10 headlines for this.
Yeah.
And then you choose from there. Like, it helps you just kickstart, right? So like you said, it's about using the tools effectively and appropriately. And I feel like we really have hit a good mark with what we do with our analytics integration with our security cameras. I mean, they're very powerful, and our alerts are really good, and our team responds really well too. So I think we've found a good balance, and we're continuing to grow in that area.
Oh yeah, and again, the more that you use it, the more powerful the tool becomes. It's kind of a slow burn as you're using it, but it does eventually get there.
Right.
So yeah,
lots to learn. So. Yeah, this is a fun discussion. If you had any thoughts, or are there any AI systems that you're aware of with security, we'd love to hear about that. Leave a comment. Appreciate all the questions today. And thanks, Mike, for that really expertise input on how we're using AI and analytics for security. It's interesting.
Expertise.
You're
quotes.
You're good at it, man. You really know what you're talking about. You're in it every day. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. We're looking forward to the future.
Yeah, sounds good. Anything else you feel like adding, or?
I feel like getting back to work. So
yeah, same. I just got another email.
I could literally talk for hours and hours and hours about GPT alone. So no, I'm excited what we're doing with the future, and I think we're already doing new cool stuff. I think we got a lot more we're going to be working on, and it's going to be exciting.
Oh yeah, and I mean, to your point, and just to rag on myself. To be fair, I nerd out very easily on music. You start me on one topic of music, and that's me for the rest of the day.
Hold on, do I get to do weather? Can I do weather?
Yeah, you can do weather because I do it in non-freedom units.
Yeah, you got the non-freedom units, eh? Every once in a while, Mike will break into a little bit of accents and everything too, which is very.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mike.
I'll do this in Japanese just to make you angry.
Yeah, what you call it? Yeah,
my fake Japanese. So we're looking pretty good. It's not bad for the week. The highest we're looking at is Friday. It's going to get close to 90, but the next couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, are in the low 80s to mid to upper 80s. But starting on Friday, Saturday, we are looking at the upper 80s, almost 90 degrees. And then next week is going to be great. Starting Monday, it's going to really cool off, heading back down to the low 70s, and heading back even the week after, apparently into the low to high 60s. So we're really heading the cooler direction. So that's a bit of a sigh of relief. We're going to have some beautiful fall weather, which pumpkins are going up everywhere around my house. All the fall stuff is, we got the pumpkin, hand towels and everything. So my wife and I are fall weather people, huge, big time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. But yeah, it is going to get a little warmer towards the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So keep an eye on that. And because it's Friday, start drinking water on Thursday, because hydration doesn't start the day of, it starts the day before.
You just ruined it.
Did I get it wrong?
You did. Hydration is the day before, not the day of. Wow.
Hydration is the day before, not the day of.
I'm so telling Coop, you so ruined that.
I do feel bad about that. But we are getting some nicer weather. So thanks for joining us, Mark, here at the end. Everybody stay safe out there. Enjoy the fall weather. There's lots of great fall activities, so get out there. We'd love to hear what your plans are for the fall and what you're doing with your friends and family. So until next time, we will see you on Friday for the next podcast.
And you better be careful with that, because I am not here Friday.
Yeah, we're going to have to walk through this in case we need to get some help broadcasting again.
Every time with these guys. You can't just leave them alone, hey? All right, with that, you'll see him Friday, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week.